Chairs No Waiting, episode number 728. Opie's baseball is a fumble. Two Chairs No Waiting is brought to you each week by the folks over at weaversdepartmentstore.com. Head over to Weavers and check it out. You can get a Mayberry favorite short sleeve t-shirt. You can get green ones, there's gray ones, there's all kinds of colors. Go and check those out. And if you're liking t-shirts, you might really enjoy the Loaded Goat. The Loaded Goat t-shirt's got a great design of a goat eating dynamite. Definitely something you'd want to check out. Head over to weaversdepartmentstore.com and check it out. Two Chairs No Waiting is also brought to you by donations from listeners just like you. The executive producers of episode number 728 are Larry and Ann Granger, and the Patreon patron of the week is Cody Sloan. So thank you to all of you who support the podcast. I'm always humbled for the donations and just the support I get to keep this podcast going. I am Alan Newsom, the host of Two Chairs No Waiting. It's great to be here with you. And we're going to be talking about Opie's baseball is a fumble. Okay, now that's a trick, and hopefully it'll get people to actually listen or watch this episode. But I know many of you have been missing Randy Turner with This Week in Mayberry History and Spirit Walker. I know you're missing them both as the roving reporters that we have here on Two Chairs. But they're taking a break and they're enjoying themselves, and they will be back. But since we are missing Randy a little bit, I wanted to mention and tell you a little bit about some of the things he's doing here around Mayberry. There's so much going on around Mayberry, and Randy is involved in a lot of it. You may not know that he has a magazine that he puts out. It's a fanzine. It's about a 5.5 inch by 8.5 inch magazine. So it's that's the size of it. And it's called the Andy Griffith Show Ambassador Magazine. And they come out about 4 times a year. If you're watching the video, you'll see me holding up the 2 latest issues. The current one has Barney on the front. It's the winter 2022-2023 edition, and he had Goober on the last issue. Anyway, so he does these great magazines, and he supports all kinds of events, like the upcoming event this summer of Mayberry Comes to Scottsburg. It's on the back of the program for the Ambassadors magazine. And he also is doing a Mayberry retreat that he's doing coming up in May. So if you really enjoy Randy's, all of what he does with Mayberry, you could contact him at turnersgrade@gmail.com, and he will get all that information to you about how you can get the Ambassadors magazine, or if you'd like to go to the Mayberry retreat that he's working. That's in May the 3rd through the 5th in Berea, Kentucky. Anyway, he does these great magazines. So to get you guys to give just a little insight into what he does in this magazine, because the bullet's gone. We don't have the bullet anymore. We got the Weavers newsletter that'll be coming out in the next week or so. So, hey, go over to imayberry.com or to weaversdepartmentstore.com and sign up for the Weavers newsletter so that you'll get that. But it's free, but it's not a paper thing. So Randy's is, and it's the Andy Griffith Show Ambassadors magazine. So I went back through some old issues, and I found one from the fall of 2020. So it's the fall of 2020 was the Ambassadors magazine issue that I want to talk about this week. And in it, there's actually an article in there about Fumble Ball in Mayberry. Now, one of the reasons I picked this one is because, well, it has Floyd on the front. It has Floyd on it, and the drawing you see on the front of that particular magazine, Floyd, it's actually mine. It was actually presented to me by you guys, the listeners of this podcast, and I really appreciate that so much. It's right over there hanging, and the artwork is just absolutely amazing. And I just can't thank you guys enough for that. And Alan Moser, who actually did the drawing. Anyway, that's the reason I started looking at this one, obviously, because this was a little bit older, and you guys may not have gotten this issue. And I will tell you toward the end here about how to get an issue. But this one is a great story that I don't know that you have ever heard. It's called Fumble Ball in Mayberry. an unusual, out of place in Mayberry example. Now, this is an article by Dick Villard and Randy Turner. So Randy and Dick collaborated on this, and I wanted to share the story with you as an example of what you are missing if you're not subscribing to the Ambassador Club and the Ambassador magazine. Okay, so let me read this to you. Fumble Ball. With a name like that, it sounds like it would be out of place everywhere, and it very nearly is. So first, what exactly is a fumble ball? It is one of the three names that have been applied to a special type of baseball that was originally popular in the 1920s and 30s. What makes these balls different than modern day baseballs or softballs is that the seams are raised on the outside of the ball instead of being stitched into the ball like a traditional baseball or softball. The first name applied to this type of ball was the original brand name, which was Playground Ball. The ball was made by Spalding, but other manufacturers soon began producing similar balls with raised stitching. Originally, the balls were considered to be more durable for sandlot baseball games and would last longer than normal stitched baseballs. But, as stated, playground baseball's popularity had died out roughly 3 decades before the Andy Griffith Show aired. In fact, by that point, there were only 2 areas in the entire country that these unusual balls were commonly used many decades after their popularity had died off in the rest of the United States. One area is in Milwaukee, where they call the game outseam softball. That's what they called it. The other is northeastern Ohio, primarily in Stark County. In this part of Ohio, the game commonly goes by the name Fumble Ball. Mayberry fan Dick Villard noticed recently, and this was in 2020, that in the New Housekeeper episode of the Andy Griffith Show, when Andy is trying to teach Aunt Bee how to play baseball, he's not holding a traditional ball. That's right. He is, in fact, holding a ball with raised seams. This is something I would have never noticed because I didn't even know there were baseballs with raised seams. So this is a really great catch by Dick. Back to the article. It is surprising that this type of ball was used in a prop department at Desilu, considering it had stopped being a popular type of ball by the end of the 1930s. Of course, who knows how long the ball could have been there. And so far as it being used in the episode, who would at that time even thought anyone would have ever noticed that Andy was holding a non-traditional baseball? This would have been especially true in a time before high-resolution, large-screen televisions and easy access to streaming and disc that can allow the screen to be frozen. So in all likelihood, no thought was probably given that this was a type of ball that would not normally have actually been seen in North Carolina in the 1960s. Perhaps Dick noticed this unusual out-of-place item because he played Fumble Ball himself for 30 years. There you go. I've never even heard of Fumble Ball. Now, in the magazine, they have photos of this. And so you'll see Andy when he's talking to Aunt Bee and talking about, I guess, learning to play baseball. And she's acting like she knows how. She's standing in the backyard, I guess. Never did know exactly where this was supposed to be. But Andy's got a baseball in one hand and the bat in the other. And if you look and do a close screenshot there, you can actually see the raised stitches. And by raised stitches, I don't mean it's raised. It's like the fabric, the leather of the ball is squeezed together and then stitched so that they're raised on the outside. Almost like the baseball was inside out. So the outside, so it's raised. So that's what we're talking about is a fumble ball. Okay, so, and you can clearly see it in the images. If you watch the episode, watch for it. When Andy's holding the ball, you can tell the stitches are raised. All right, so back to the story. The reason this type of ball remained popular, albeit in only those 2 isolated areas of the country, is because the Fumble Ball had another quality other than being longer lasting than a traditional softball or baseball. It was popular with older players because the softball won't travel as far when it's hit as a normal soft pitch softball. As Dick Villard, quote, "The more you played, the softer the ball got and the harder it was to hit it over the fence. It sort of extended all the old guys, quote, glory days," end quote. In fact, when 2 men introduced the game to the Canton, Ohio area in the mid-1930s and first set up leagues, you had to be over 35 to participate. The name Fumble Ball may be used only in Northeast Ohio, but the term is as an accurate one as could be easily applied in the area surrounding Milwaukee as well, where it remains popular. The raised seams on the ball not only keep it from traveling as fast or as far as a traditional softball, they also make the ball hard to handle. Dick confirms, quote, "The ball definitely acted funny with the raised seams." Can you imagine that? If it's sitting on the ground, it hits that seam, it would jump. My goodness, that would be rough. Back to the story. While the game is still remembered in Canton, it is losing its popularity. This may be because De Beer, the manufacturer of the Fumble Balls used in Canton, have changed the ball's specifications so that it now behaves more like a traditional softball, making the game faster paced and more of a young man's game. While the game is still played around Milwaukee, it has all but disappeared from Canton, the Canton area of Ohio, with the last league games played over 9 years ago at this point, 7 years ago back then. And for one brief moment, a Fumble Ball was seen in Mayberry. So there you go, guys. A Fumble Ball was seen in Mayberry. So that's just a really cool thing to see, is the raised stitches that you can definitely see on the ball. You can see that, and Dick Villard spotted it. Now, Dick Villard is a retired maintenance supervisor in the public housing field. He has loved the Andy Griffith Show for many years, and he is blessed to have many Mayberry cronies that he is proud to call his friends. And Dick is definitely Goober Fife in our chat room. If you're in here with us on Monday nights, you would see him in here. He is in our chat room as we record the podcast. So, Dick, great job spotting that. That is definitely not something I would have ever spotted. Well, I wouldn't even have known that was a different kind of ball. I don't think I would have even known it. So pretty cool. So I hope you guys enjoyed that, and you can go out and find all this kind of information. If you go and check with Randy, you can go on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, you can go to Facebook and you can check out the Andy Griffith Show Ambassadors Program. So if you just go there, it's TAGS Ambassadors Program. Search for it on Facebook. You'll find it. And it's got all the information there about how to subscribe. But you basically can send an email to Randy at turnersgrade@gmail.com, turnersgrade@gmail.com, and he'll help you out there. Now, another thing I wanted to mention, since we're talking about that, is the back issues are available. That's right. You can get back issues of the magazine. You may not be able to find them on the website because Randy says you have to go directly to the link, and it's at mayberrybooks.com/back-dash. It's a dash, not an underscore. It's back-issues. So if you go to that, you'll be able to order back issues, and they're $5 plus $1 shipping per copy. So you can go and check out all the old issues, including the one I was just reading from. They're all online, and you can get them. I have them all sitting right here beside me, and thanks to Randy for doing all this hard work. Thanks for all the folks that actually write articles for him in the issues. He has most all of them as back issues still. I've got all of them right here beside me that I'm lucky enough to have them all. I'm trying to pick them all up here, but they're really cool little magazines and have great stories. Randy does a great job. So thanks, Randy, for doing all that. So go out there and check out some of what he's doing. Randy's got all kinds of cool stuff. And if you want to make sure you don't miss out on anything that Randy's doing, head over to turnersgrade@gmail.com. Send him an email, and he'll make sure you don't miss out on any of what he's doing. So great job, Randy. And to Dick Villard, Goober Fife in our chat room, also a great job. So I got another little report I want to give. We got time here. So this past weekend, I don't know if you guys remember him or not, but we had Sean Dietrich was at the Mayberry meetup this year. And we had a couple of Mayberry folks, 3 of them at least, were able to attend this past week. Sean made his premiere performance at the Grand Ole Opry. That's exactly right. This past Friday night, Sean, who again was at the Mayberry meetup last year, huge Mayberry fan, great guy as well, does great articles. If you go to SeanDietrich.com, he actually did an article about his performance or being able to appear at the Grand Ole Opry. He writes great columns, very, very good columns. So go and check out Sean of the South. You can search for that, Sean of the South, and you'll find him. But this past week, Joanna and her husband Robert went to the Grand Ole Opry and were able to see Sean at the Grand Ole Opry. So they had a great time seeing Sean and just seeing him at the Opry. For some reason, my stuff's not as big as it should be. Things have changed. Wait, there we go. So they had a great time at the Opry seeing Sean. He's a self-taught musician, and he was singing and telling stories, and even they got to spend time with him after the performance, both of them. And while they were there, they ran into our fat little mayor, Eric Lowry, who does Mayor Pike with us at all of our Mayberry events, was also backstage. So we had a great Mayberry reunion up at the Grand Ole Opry last Friday night. So I am so happy for all of them, and I'm happy for Sean that he got to perform at the Grand Ole Opry. What a dream that must be for him. So I'm so glad that we had our Mayberry friends were able to support Sean in his performance there. Now, as I said, Sean was at the Mayberry meetup last year. So I want to go ahead and mention that they got the Mayberry meetup coming up this summer in July, the 21st and 22nd in Mount Airy, North Carolina. The Mayberry meetup, where all of us get together, a bunch of fans from here on the podcast and in the internet and the fan clubs as a whole, meet in Mount Airy, North Carolina to just have some fun. I definitely want to encourage you to do it. If you're watching the show live, you can see the design for our T-shirts hanging on the wall behind me. It says Mayberry Meetup 11. It says nip it in the bud. So that's their new design, and you can go and check those out. There are links if you go to the event calendar at imayberry.com. If you go to imayberry.com and click on event calendar, it will take you to the calendar of events, and you can look up all the events. And the Mayberry meetup is there. You can click on the registration or information about the 11th meetup, and it will take you to a page with all kinds of information about what we're going to be doing and where you can get your T-shirt if you'd like one. They're not at Weaver's, So you can get you a t-shirt or all kinds of other things with that design that's behind me. You can't see it, but it's a caricature of Barney. It says "Nip It" in big letters beside him, and it says Mayberry Meetup 11 and on it as well. So, guys, there are so many Mayberry events coming up this summer. I realize you can't come to all of them. You probably are not going to be able to, but try to go to something. Go to one of them and meet some of these wonderful fans from the Andy Griffith Show. I know you would enjoy getting to meet them, and they will enjoy getting to meet you because they dig you, so you be good and dig them back. And go and check out these. We got Granville coming up in just a few weeks at this point, around the 15th of April. I don't have all the dates memorized in my head, but I know it's coming up April. I'm looking 14th and 15th. Yeah, there it is. In Granville, Tennessee, and that's a smaller event. It's not huge, but it's growing every year, and it's the I Love Lucy and Mayberry Days. I talked about it before. We've got an event coming up in Valley Head, Alabama, that is a small little town event. It doesn't last even all day. It starts from 9, goes to about 5 p.m., but it's a lot of fun if you're in that area. We got the Mayberry comes to Scottsburg, which is coming out to be a very big event. So definitely something you might want to think about in Indiana area near Louisville. It's only about 30 minutes from Louisville, Kentucky. So maybe you want to think about that. And we got the meetup and, of course, Mayberry Days and the Mayberry Cruise. Wow, guys. All those things are coming up just later this year. Think about going and maybe take some friends with you that are also fans of the Andy Griffith Show. They might enjoy it as well. All right, so let's play a little bit of trivia, and let's see how you guys do. This is all trivia for fun. That's what we've been doing the last few weeks, so let's get the music going. There we go. And, I should have pulled that up, too. So, Tim White, who is the VW Boys you're hearing here, he got a special treatment this just past weekend, where at the Mayberry Motor Inn, he was basically a spot was dedicated to him at the Mayberry Motor Inn. That's right. It says this spot is dedicated to Tim White. This plaque does for his work on Song of the Mountains and for his devotion to the spirit of Mayberry. Now, where is it? Tim, there's pictures on the internet of him standing with it, with this plaque, and it is actually at the pump house for the swimming pool at the Mayberry Motor Inn. So definitely Tim spends a lot of time at that swimming pool every year. So congratulations to Tim. And thank you for this music from the VW Boys, ladies and gentlemen, and Tim White. All right, so let's get a little bit of trivia going here. Everybody's ready? Pull out your paper and get ready. Trivia questions. Number 1, Lydia was from Raleigh. Lydia was from Raleigh. True or false? True or false? Lydia was from Raleigh. The answer is false. Lydia was not from Raleigh. She was not. All right, question number 2. You ready? Who moved into the barber shop to open a fix-it shop? Oh my goodness, come on. I told you they were easy. Come on. Who moved into the barber shop to open a fix-it shop? All right. Come on. You guys got to know this one. Last read, and I'll give you the answer. Who moved into the barber shop to open up a fix-it shop? The answer is Emmett. That's right, Emmett did. Question number 3. Opie found a man's purse that belonged to who? Opie found a man's purse that belonged to whom? To whom did it belong to? The man's purse that Opie found. Oh, that one's a little harder, but some of you folks will definitely get that one, I'm sure. Opie found a man's purse that belonged to... The answer is Parnell Rigsby. Parnell Rigsby. Mr. Rigsby. If you said Mr. Rigsby, I'll give you that, or Rigsby, I'll give you that. All right, number 4. Opie once traded licorice seeds for what? Opie once traded licorice seeds for what? Did he trade them for roller skates, $1, a cap pistol, or a bike? Opie once traded licorice seeds for roller skates, $1, a cap pistol, or a bike. Not seeing people jumping in the chat room. They got Parnell Rigsby. The answer to Opie once traded licorice seeds for... Well, if honesty is the best policy, why am I still out of cap pistol? So a cap pistol is the answer. That was number 4. All right, number 5. It's true or false. Emmett sponsored the bowling team. Emmett sponsored the bowling team. True or false? Too bad we didn't have that one first, and you would have known Emmett's name. The answer, Emmett sponsored the bowling team. The answer is true. True. And it was a color episode. So what color were their uniform tops? That's not one of the questions, but I just threw it in there. What color was their shirts? You just answer that on your own or throw it into the chat room if you're in the chat room. All right, number 6. Number 6. What was Aunt Bee's last name? What was Aunt Bee's last name? Oh, my goodness. And yes, the answer of the bowling shirts was red. That is correct. The people in the chat room got it. What was Aunt Bee's last name? Oh, my goodness. Yeah, the shirts that Howard Sprague and everybody were wearing in the bowling league were red. Okay. What was Aunt Bee's last name? Her last name was, everybody in the chat room is throwing this one out, Taylor. Yeah, Aunt Bee Taylor. One person said it was a Tris. Aunt Beatrice. Aunt Beatrice. Get it? I like that. That's pretty good. Good job in the chat room. There you go. Chief said that in the chat room. All right, number 7. Number 7. In the first episode, The New Housekeeper, we just talked about it. What was the name of Opie's bird? In the first episode, The New Housekeeper, what was the name of Opie's bird? I wonder if that bird liked that fumble ball. He could have stood on those ridges. Huh. Boy, you learn something new, don't you? All right. What was the name of Opie's bird? His name was Dickie. He liked fried chicken. According, he cleaned his plate. All right. Our 8th question. Question number 8. Who was Andy's first love interest on the show? Who was Andy's first love interest on the show? Was it Mary, Peggy, Ellie, or Helen? Who was Andy's first love interest on the show? I'm waiting on Peter to answer that in our chat room. If you know who Peter is and you know how I expect him to answer this question. In our chat room, we have the boy of somebody. He just answered it. We have Miss Ellie's boy, Peter, and it was Miss Ellie was Andy's first love interest. So Peter got it. Good job, Peter. So good job. I kind of thought you might get that one. All right, guys, that is 8 questions of fun Mayberry trivia. And you got to admit, some of those were pretty easy. Some of those are pretty. Aunt B's last name, that's pretty easy. And who opened the Fix-It shop? If you didn't get that, I'm disappointed in those because I know some of this stuff is color, like did Emmett sponsor the bowling team? But you guys got to watch the color episodes. You got to watch them. All right, guys, that I think is about it. I think I have covered everything I was going to cover tonight. You never know because sometimes I forget and later realize, oops, I was going to tell you something else. Folks, I want to thank all of our patrons that support this podcast. There are so many of you. I can't really list all your names. I'm trying to acknowledge you at the beginning of episodes, but that's going to be a long, slow process. Plus, we've had some folks just give donations, one-time donations that are, some of them have been very large, and I really do want to thank you for your donations. They are extremely appreciated, and I will get to being able to mention you on the podcast. I've had one donation that's so large that I'm going to have to use that other category that I used in the past. But thanks again to all my patrons that support the show. If you'd like to support me at Patreon, you can. If you go to patreon.com/2chairs, you can say, I'm going to give you $1 an episode or $2 an episode or $3, $5, $100. I don't, I don't suggest that. But if you'd like to do that, to just be a help out on the show, I would appreciate it, and I'm thankful for it. If you can't do it, that's fine. Go out and spread information about the podcast. Tell people about it. Share posts when I post the episodes. Share it so other people will find it, and they'll know about it. Any of those things are all helpful in letting more people know about this podcast. Because I got to tell you, as I'm looking around on Facebook and stuff, people post things on there that I'm like, yeah, here's the podcast episode where I talked about that. And here's this, And I realize people have not found the podcast. I know they haven't, but we've been doing this for many years now. And a lot of the topics that people don't know about, we've covered here on the podcast. So if you would like to do it that way, that'd be great too. If you're watching and somebody says something on Facebook and you go, Alan's got a podcast episode about that, go and find the video or audio version of the show and post it to them. Let them know about it so that they will join in on all the fun that I have. I hope you have as you listen or watch these episodes. It's just really hard to believe that so many people have no idea about not only the podcast, but also about Randy Turner and his magazine that he does, his books, Spirit Walker's book. There's so much that people are missing out on that I think they would just have so much fun if they could do. So thank you for donations to the podcast. Thank you for spreading the word. Let's get the word out there to everybody about all this great Mayberry fun we have and try to draw them in. I know that's what we've been trying to do. I know Goober Fife even has some cards. I don't have one right here in front of me. I have them right in front of me, the cards that he gives out that say something about it. But anyway, all right, guys, that is it for tonight. Thank you for being here in the podcast with me. I would love to hear from you. You can give me a call at 888-684-8415 and let me know what you thought about it. You got folks like Cody is in the chat room. I got his card right here in front of me. I got so many folks here in the chat room, and I just really appreciate all of them because they keep me going, and you keep me going as well, just for being out there and letting me know that you're listening or watching the podcast. Thank you for doing that. Like I said, I'd love to hear from you. You can email me at floyd@imayberry.com or just head over to twochairsnowaiting.com, and there's ways to contact me. Folks, thanks for being here, and spread that Mayberry spirit. We'll see you next time here on Two Chairs.